Welcome, everybody, to episode 198 of WordPress Weekly for Wednesday, July 8th, 2015. I'm your host, Jeff Chandler, joined by Marcus Couch. And Marcus, I'm feeling back in my element again because as I look behind me, the sky is dark. It is nighttime. We're actually doing a show at our normal time.
And I thank you for that because, quite frankly, I didn't know what to do on Wednesday nights with no show to do. It was just sitting around twiddling my thumbs going, what do I do? What do I do? But I'm glad that we're back at a normal schedule and we have a really great guest for today's show.
Yes, we do, and we also have a lot of news to get into. Hopefully we have time to cram it all into this action-packed show. But the person we have on the show tonight, I always enjoy having this guest on the show. I always enjoy our conversations that we have. In fact, he's been on the show so many times, I'm going to give him the distinction friend of the show. And his name is Cory Miller, and he's the founder of iThemes. And Cory, why don't you say hi and then tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, hey everybody, and thanks Marcus and Jeff for having me on the show tonight again. Jeff and I go way back, and it was the first year I started iThemes back in 2008, WordCamp Dallas. That's where I met Jeff and a lot of other distinguished WordPress people. But I started iThemes back in 2008. We did commercial or premium themes back then. But today our business is pretty much the opposite. It is all plugin based with about 5% themes right now. Our biggest plugin, our hit plugin, is called Backup Buddy. It does backups, restores, migrations of WordPress websites. Got a couple plugins out now that are pretty big, like iThemes Security, does security for WordPress websites. iThemes Syncs, which helps you manage all your WordPress sites in one convenient dashboard, and a couple other projects, of course. We've got 24 team members. We're headquartered in Oklahoma City, but half of the team members, roughly, don't work in the office. And so we just our little mantra is make people's lives awesome. We've been trying to do that every year, every day since 2008.
Excellent. So one of the main reasons we have you on the show tonight is, usually we talk about WordPress stuff, themes, plugins, what you're doing, and we might get into some of that later on this evening. But we wanted to bring you on because you did a presentation at WordCamp Denver that was just off the hook, if I could say that myself. It was, it's on WordPress.tv. I actually happened to watch it today, and it was about entrepreneurship and your mental health and how you've coped with it for 7 years. And watching it, like you said, you and I go way back. I've seen you keynote at WordCamps. I've seen you speak at other WordCamps or WordPress events on a variety of topics. But in this particular presentation, I saw a different shade of you I've never seen before. Very emotional, very personal. You shared some things in this presentation that nobody has ever heard before. So I wanted to bring you on because mental illness is a big topic. I think it's not something we often talk about here on the show, but it's, I know we did Sarah Gooding did a blog post about tackling depression in IT, and boy, it was like, it just hit a nerve for so many people, and I think just a lot of us out there are dealing with different various types of mental illness and being alone and struggling with that process. So we're going to sort of dive into it, but
yeah.
But the first thing I have for you is, out of all the things you've talked about, I want to go back to the point where maybe this was an idea or you were motivated enough to actually submit this type of presentation to WordCamp Denver, because I know during the presentation you said you just sent it to them and you were kind of hoping they wouldn't pick it, but if they did, you'd have to do it, and they picked it. So what was really the driving factor, the motivation to even get up in front of all these people and talk about this and open yourself up the way you did?
So I've talked about mental health before, and I want to make a distinction that I've kind of learned since diving into that topic. There's mental illness and there's mental health. I kind of focus on the health part, but I'm an advocate about good mental health, and I want to help educate as best as possible, including me first, about mental illness. But there's a stigma, and the answer to your question is, I've had some success in my life. There was a time a couple years ago when I realized I had accomplished everything I set out to do and dreamed about when I was in adolescence. And to realize, like, you were there at my San Francisco talk last year, Jeff, I think, and basically I had done this. You can Google lifetime expectancy, and you can actually plug your own like metrics in and figure out what your days are. And when I did that, it was so motivating to me that I have few time on Earth, scarce resources in terms of talent, and of course treasure, and I want to use that for the most impactful way. And when I submitted that talk, I've done a range of talks, like you said, you've heard some of those. I've always been passionate about the things I've talked about, but I realized there's one area that I wanted to be a mental health champion, someone to say, let's get past the stigma and really get some good resources and people to get help that need help for mental health and illness. And I just decided, you know what, it's just time. I've got a platform now, I think, of some sort, and I want to spend what time I have on Earth doing things that impact the most people. And I thought to myself, the last 5 years of my journey, particularly with mental health, have been so impactful, but hardly anyone knows about that. I think it'd be a shame for me to not share some of my story so that the message could resonate. They don't need to know my name necessarily, but that the message of good mental health and some practices I've learned over the past 5 years and some of the beliefs that have changed my life. And I just said, why not now?
And one of the things, Cory, and one of the you had the slide deck that you went through, and the one that hit me was the most, I guess you could say, would be number one, your number one belief, which, as you listed it, was sometimes I need help, and that's okay. And
Absolutely.
I mean, for me personally, I go through this community, and sometimes I think I'm just this 900-foot monster that can just, trounce through the city and wreak havoc and cause damage, and at the same time do good things and make stuff. But sometimes I get over my head, and yet I internalize that, and not just from a technical standpoint or a job standpoint, but in over your head in the sense of I'm working 14 hours a day and ignoring everybody around me, and I'm afraid to acknowledge the fact that I need help. I need help coping with this. I need help coping with the fact that I stare at a screen all day. And that hit me the most out of any slide. So do you want to elaborate on kind of how you came to that realization yourself?
It came 5 years ago of thinking I'm the 900-pound gorilla that can do anything, can get through anything myself. I don't need anybody else. And finding myself face down in the gravel and probably being dragged through the gravel. And realizing that it's pride, right? It's I got it. I got this. I don't need help.
Right.
My name is Cory Miller. I've done these things. I've lived through these set of experiences. I really don't. No. I'm not Superman. I'm not perfect. I hurt just like everyone else. By the way, and as an aside to this, every single time I've talked about mental health and shared things openly about my own mental health, my struggles with mental health, insecurity, fear, everything, it's been a resonating thing for people. I wish you could have seen the last part of the Q&A of that talk. I got down from the stage, and it was a shorter talk than I was because you guys saw it. I was very emotional. I don't like to particularly cry in public or to anybody else. Back to that pride thing, right? But in the 25 minutes of Q&A, it was amazing because people just came up to the microphone and said, it wasn't questions. They just shared their story, and most of them were in tears.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this message resonates because it's not about me. It's about people are hurting, and we hide that stuff. And I was the best at it, Marcus. I'm telling you, I am good at hiding my imperfections, and I have been since I was in high school. But the sometimes I need help and it's okay comes out of me saying I won't ever do that again. I can't do that again. Where I hide for 6 months in solitary confinement my pain and struggles, and don't share that with the people that love me most, by the way, that's selfish. I'm saying I was selfish 5 years ago. And so somebody said, how did you come up with that? And I said, the 7 beliefs I shared. And I said, I thought about the last 5 years, the things I will never change, the beliefs I will never change. And that first one is, and I want to be loud and proud about it, everybody hurts, everybody needs help, and that's just okay.
And
So that's
speaking
really what
speaking of the help, you've actually gone out and you actually you have a counselor. You actually go see a counselor about 4 times a year, and as you call it, you get regular mental health checkups, and it's somebody you can trust and sort of dump all your garbage on without having to see them at Thanksgiving time, which I thought was a great analogy, because I'd hate to dump garbage on a family member and then the family reunion comes around, boy, it gets awkward. I mean, I don't want that. But tell us about how that's improved your mental health. Just having that ability 4 times a year to dump the garbage out and just feel relieved that you're telling somebody about what you're going through.
So I've actually, and I didn't get to share this, I don't think, but I've had a counselor. I've sought counseling and therapy probably 3 to 4 times in my life. But in 2010, I realized I can't just do it for these struggles. I can't do it when I bottom out. I need to have regular maintenance, just like I would do it on my car, or how I go into my physician regularly to do checkups and things like that. That's the same thing, and I would argue even more importantly than physical health is mental health. Now, physical health has got to be right there too, but mental health, you could be the most, but be dying inside. So the third or fourth time, whatever, back in 2010, when I had filed for divorce, I was going through divorce, and at the guidance of my attorney and some friends, had sought out counseling. I met a guy named Kyle, and by the way, I wanted to mention I have full permission to talk about this, not the contents of our sessions, but that the fact that my wife and I seek counseling on a regular basis. His name is Kyle, like I mentioned. Last 2 Mondays, we've had appointments with him. We're in New Mexico right now, so we did it over the phone because we walk the talk. And I want to share that because I say, I'm not just saying people should get a counselor. No, in the last 2 weeks, we've sought regular counseling between Lindsay and I to help through some issues that we're dealing with in our lives. So back in 2010, I met Kyle through a personal friend, and just started doing regular visits with him, and it was just amazing that it really was like I can share things with my parents, I can share things with my brother, my team, stuff like that, but there's certain things that, particularly at that period, were probably more like bile and anger and things, but there's things that I really don't want to share with another human being that I have to see at a regular family outing. And also, oftentimes, I think I've found in my life, well, 100% of the times, the areas are all about people. If I share something about somebody close to me to another person, they're going to have a different perspective about that person too. And so going to Kyle, he's a professionally trained counselor, and I don't get to see him at Thanksgiving, which is good. But I also know I get to kind of just offload my stuff to him.
And in that process of offloading stuff to him, does he, obviously, I guess he has the capability to sort of work through that and give you advice to work on, and obviously it's helped, right? Or else you wouldn't be seeing Kyle.
Absolutely. So I realized back in 2010, and then when Lindsay and I got married about a year later, that I needed to do this regularly, and sharing that with Lindsay, she said, I'm in. And so we kind of put that on the calendar at the beginning of the year. Each quarter we're gonna have this little notice that says call Kyle and get an appointment. We've done that before we've had kids, after we've had kids, when we've had major things happen in our lives, we'll schedule appointments within those, between those maybe quarterly periods. Particularly after we had our first and second babies, we said, listen, first time was, okay, how does this change our marriage dynamic? Now, we had talked to him about before. Second baby, same thing. We talked about parenting stuff, like how do we parent this little boy who's amazing but a toddler, going through some stuff and the baby and the jealousy issues, and then talked about all kinds of stuff. So it's the 4 times a year that I say for my own, what I felt was best for me is just the regular maintenance on my mental health, and then we know we can call Kyle and schedule an appointment. And so I think we had like maybe a 2-day notice with him and got a phone call with him to talk through some things. And it was just you kind of afterwards you get, I think there's, and again, I'm not a professionally trained counselor, but my experience has been, one, either affirmation, and then second, questions and things to think through, and then third would be tactics. Oftentimes the things I've talked about personally have been about conflict between somebody and myself, and trying to think through and help kind of get perspective on what I'm dealing with. And I think it's just amazing. I believe in seeking the advice of experts, people that go deep in their specific area. Talking to Marcus in Orange County a couple weeks ago, if I have a question about a podcast, I'm going to call Marcus, and I'm going to call you, Jeff. You guys have been doing this for so long because you guys are the experts in the subject, and I would want to know your experience. Same thing applies to a counselor, only they've got some degrees sitting on the wall and some certifications and stuff.
And so how is that translated? Obviously, you've been doing this for a while now, as far as that counseling. How does that translate into your business endeavors? How does it help you to make better decisions and dealing with such a large staff, both internally and the people that work, on a distributed basis? How do you arm yourself with that ammo now and then put it into practice down the stream?
Absolutely. Number one would be that life is about people and conflict, and things happen. We're not perfect human beings, and we have conflict. Number one is just a better perspective about how to deal with people and relationships. So I would say the counseling has directly increased my happiness, joy, and health in life so much I won't ever give it up. Number two is business and the team you mentioned. Even if you're a solopreneur, you still have to deal with lots of people. They're just called clients or customers. So even with the staff of 24 that we have and thousands of customers, secondarily would be the conflict that happens. How do you help maintain and grow a long-term relationship with people? And then there's some people that like to vomit on you, and how do you set clear and direct boundaries that, kind of free you from poisonous relationships? I've used counseling in all of those regards, about conflict within my team, conflict within customers that might be poisonous people in my life, friends I've had to say goodbye to because of what they did, and talking it over with Kyle, my counselor. It helps me give a perspective, and also great, very healthy, balanced tactics to employ to either set boundaries, communicate effectively, so that, I said in my talk too, you guys know this, that my happiness must come first and foremost. That was a hard pill for me to swallow in the last 5 years, but I realized that if I was miserable, I was unhappy, the people around me were most likely going to be miserable and unhappy because of me. And if I don't have my own happiness and health in check, first and foremost, I can't help other people and love other people fully. And so Kyle has helped me in all those things directly. Life is just about people, right? And that's what makes the journey so amazing through life, is the people that you meet that love you, that care about you, and you love and care and support them. And then figuring out the people that are poisonous and like to vomit on you and helping to escort them out of your life. Man, it's so helpful to have someone that just deals with this every day, has experience. Kyle is significantly older. He's got grown children and now grandchildren, and to be able to walk with him and help him help me walk through those experiences has been tremendously helpful. I love advisors in my life, and I consider my counselor one of my key advisors in life.
And have you seen, if we took a timeline of the moment that you and Kyle started working together and connected it to the product release cycle and the revenue that iThemes has. Are they in sync with each other as far as
Well,
the
see,
level of happiness that Cory got, the more successful the company became?
I would say so. Despite the fact that in 2010, my business and professional sex was just getting off the ground and just starting to get altitude, powering through. I mean, I was doing I had some great things happen in my life, and as a result of that year, I've experienced that kind of success that had come from that year. My personal life was crumbling. I would say overall, it's weird because my personal life was in shatters. It was just shattered. But my professional life was really taken off that period to maybe think about that correlation back then. But I would say I have a greater chance to be successful, for my team to be happy and fulfilled and successful themselves, for my customers to to have the same, to be happy and fulfilled by the products and services they purchase from us, because the person leading that venture is happy and healthy. Now I still go through my bouts of the stuff I need to get a kind of a tune up on my mental health. But I would say everybody that is directly or even remotely directly uh, uh, influenced by my life has got to have been felt the wave of that happiness, because Cory back then, pre 2010, I was a people pleaser. I couldn't say no very well, and I let people use and abuse me. And now, no. And I know I'm healthier. I'm better for everybody in my life, my wife, my children, my team, and my customers, because I've started this road through better, achieving better mental health.
You
Long
know,
way to say yes.
I want to go back and set the stage here because I think it's important. Where you're, it's 2010, and there's some great things going on in your professional life. Or I think even you or iThemes was nominated for a local award. I think this is when you were nominated to become a contributing author to, I think, was it All-in-One
Yeah.
WordPress, something to that effect. So I mean, you were just high rolling. I think Backup Buddy, you had some great product releases
Yep.
that were doing well, and the professional side of Cory, that's the side I know, through Twitter and through social and public interactions, it looked like your life was going great. I mean, you're on cloud nine, and then at the same time, you're just in the deepest pits of despair, and you're in this sort of self-constructed jail cell of misery because of so many things that are going on in your personal life. It feels like you're being dragged on gravel. Just incredible how you can, personally you're down so low, but professionally you're up so high, and it's just sort of, in the WordPress community through social media, through Facebook, we usually only get a glimpse of the best sides of people, or they usually post the happiest things or the great things they're eating, but we only know as much as we know, or that they want to share. And I think one of the things that you found out personally by spreading the message and talking at WordCamps is you've personally found out that you are not alone, and you've spread this message to various WordCamps that they are not alone. And I think a lot of people are appreciative of that, because when you get inside that jail box of misery and your mental health gets really down, it can exponentially grow, and there's a lot of bad things that can happen out of that if you don't get the help, if you don't remove the pride and do something to save yourself before something really bad happens.
Absolutely. I think it's sad, and I definitely don't want to portray an image of myself ever that everything is perfect in my life. It isn't. But if you follow me on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, you're going to see pictures of me smiling. You're going to see pictures of my wife, my two adorable babies, miracle little babies, and but it's not the whole picture. It's just the things that I curate those things to share, the things I'm very, very proud of. But it's sad too, because I don't want to give a false illusion of Cory's got his stuff all together. He's perfect. Absolutely not, because that's not the case. I still struggle. I put a slide up at Denver, and it was probably 15 things, and I just said, this is what entrepreneurs, this is what I deal with I have dealt with through my journey and deal with on a daily basis. One of those is insecurity. I feel like um, I've achieved my own definition of success, but I still every single day deal with insecurity, deal with the fact that I've built this business and I'm not good enough, and I have these crappy negative thoughts in my life, that I try to eradicate with more positive things, that I'm not good enough, there's more talented people that should be in my position or have been able to have the fortune and opportunity to run a business like I have and see it grow. And so I deal with those things, and it's sad because I don't want that portrait necessarily portrayed now, for sure, is that I got my stuff together. Here's the thing I'll tell you that has a little bit frustrated me. After my talk in Denver, I did a blog post that got a lot of traction, and now since the video is up online, it's kind of resurgence, the whole the message that I was trying to share. But there'll be a select set of people that'll say, "Good job, Cory. People need to hear that." And I think to myself, you need to hear that. Everyone needs
Right.
because I was the one that needed to hear it back in 2010, and I still need to hear it today, tomorrow, and the next day. And so I think there's this illusion that, by saying that, I think we say, I've got my stuff together, I've got it under control, and it's part of that pride. And I want to kind of tell people, and I honestly, I get a little irritated and maybe borderline angry because I want to say, no, 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 no. There'll be a time when you'll be on your knees in life and need help. And please don't say you'll never hit there, because I was that person. I want to tell you that life will bring you to your knees, and maybe you'll be scraping on the gravel like me. And I know that potentially could happen in my lifetime, and I want to be ready for it. Anyway, diatribe over on that one.
No, you're right. And insecurity is a huge one, especially in this community, and people sometimes overcompensate for it. Even me, even when doing this show, I second guess myself 100 times. Am I even qualified to be on this? Am I even? I'm sure Jeff, you're laughing in the background, but and that's the thing, because it's like I'm on the top of the mountain as far as being a podcast host in this community. And yet, I sometimes I just can't relax. Like, my God, I've got the gig. What am I worried about, right? So,
yeah.
And that creeps in. And I want to come to another point that you mentioned. You talked about that you put yourself in basically solitary confinement for 6 months. And people that do this for a living and work in WordPress or work in any kind of field where they're staring at a screen all day, you could still have a very productive day, yet still be in solitary for 6 months, right? And that's, I think, one of the dangers that we don't recognize often, is that even though we're still productive, even though we still make good ideas, there are ways that we kind of consolidate and hide the pain, even though we're still fully active and on Slack and all the rest of it, right?
Oh, yeah. Were you guys at WordCamp Raleigh or WordCamp Chicago in 2010?
No, not me.
2009, I was in Chicago. In Raleigh, I might have been, unless that was also 2009.
So those camps, I had speaking opportunities there. And Raleigh was very, very tough. It was the first one. I was really going through probably a part of the worst part, and it was this odd thing where I compartmentalized and could put the bad over here, and then put on a smile and go on stage and give a really. Chicago 2010, I think the video is probably still out there, was the first time in my life I got a standing ovation, and then they threw yellow stress ball or orange stress balls at me. If I quote unquote had a professional speaking career, which I don't, I've never been paid. It was the highlight, and yet I was hurting so bad inside. Just pretty instrumental turning point talks, yet I was dying and hurting inside so freaking bad. Compartmentalize, hide, put on a pretty, smile, and give a pretty passionate talk, and no one knew.
Yeah.
I want you to sort of talk about this point where in your professional career you reached this point where you were you would show up and you would arrive to work at iThemes and you didn't want to do you sort of almost hated your job and you said you didn't enjoy coming into work every day, you didn't enjoy working, you didn't enjoy getting stuff done, you sort of contemplated asking yourself, is this what I really want to be doing? Is this how I want to feel every day? And sort of explaining that part of your life and what you did to correct that problem so that you became a happy person again.
Yeah. So it was the first time in my career at iThemes that I was so miserable that I didn't want to be there, just like you said. And when I went, it was that we had a set of people, very small group of people there. They belong somewhere else. They're not bad people. They're actually talented people. They didn't belong in our group, in our family, than the rest of us. And for about 8 months, I allowed that group of people to make me miserable and to determine my emotions and my feelings and even question where I wanted to be at the business that I started. And it took me 8 months, and it's sad because I think about the 8 months I was miserable. People that did belong there who are still with us today, that I probably made them miserable in the process. And probably because I didn't act sooner and tell a very small group of people they should find another place to work, that some of them eventually left on. We encouraged and made a decision for them to move on. That group of people made a different journey than the rest of us were. They were on their own journey. It was misaligned with what we were doing and where we were going. They just didn't sync. Some of those I haven't necessarily kept in touch, but I know they went on and have really probably, because they fit somewhere different. But for me, it was allowing people into our inner circle that did not belong there. And are you guys able to hear me okay?
Yeah. And let me ask you this, Cory. Were there any people that you thought were, bought into the whole process and the journey and things that were lost because the other ones poisoned them? Poisoning the well, so to speak. Were there people that you wish didn't get corrupted by the bad people that were in the company?
I'll tell you, I love bragging on our people who walked with me, some of whom walked with me for 7 years. Mm-hmm. Jeff, Chris Jean, he's been with me the longest. Here's remarkable. It is a testament to the quality individuals through that were and are, that poison did not affect them. Good. Now, not as happy as they could have been, maybe. Did they realize things were going on and needed to change? Absolutely. Almost to a T. Either help those people leave or they left on their own accord, would go, yeah, we just wondered when you'd do it. And I kind of hurt because I was like, dang, I don't ever want anybody to do that. My fear that cancer would spread to them and that attitude and stuff, it's a testament to the quality human beings we have working in iThemes that it didn't. That's what's crazy. They kept doing the same committed work, passionate about what they did for them, despite the fact there was people trying to either intentionally or not sabotage what we were doing.
So, yeah, I mean, the good analogy of that is these were the trees that learned how to bend but not break through the worst storms that the company had to endure, and the people within.
That's a great way to say that.
Holy
Absolutely.
moly, man. That's a That has me in a deep thought, Marcus, man. Good
It's going
job.
in my book. Yes.
So, Cory, later on in your presentation, you talk about something that I've been trying to do myself. It's difficult to do, but sort of rewiring your brain to be positive and productive versus negative and pessimistic. I'm definitely the first one to where something negative happens in my life. That's it. My life's over. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. My life's all shot to hell because of one bad thing. Instead of thinking, well, I'll get through it, and maybe here's the bright side to it, or the silver lining in the cloud. Um, this is something you mentioned. Have you been able to rewire your brain to be positive and productive, or are you still struggling with that?
Our self-talk sucks. If we talked to people that we loved the way we talk to ourselves, we wouldn't have very many people that love us or care about us. And it's crazy that we talk to ourselves in such negative, demeaning, ridiculously terrible, unbelieving ways. And so, Jeff, it's a constant daily struggle for me. The first thing something happens, it'll be insecurity for me. It'll be a fear. It'll be a "you're not good enough, Cory" kind of talk. And it's a daily chore to say, no, you won't talk to, and to rewire it and to think, we want to, I don't know if it's this part in our brain, I can't remember what it's called, but like the caveman part where we fear threats and things like that, but we instantly go to fear. What I've been trying to do, there's a very healthy fear, what we should have, by the way. But for this particular is rewire the brain to say, instead of fear, let's do boldness. We see somebody come out that has a competing product with us, that's got their stuff together, that's going to do good. I don't want to default to boldness, to say I have something to contribute to the world and I want to give it, and I'm not going to let some other person's talent affect my boldness, my action to do that. So I'd say it's a daily struggle. It starts with me and then people in my life and my team and everything to say, because we default to this negative, crappy way of self-talk said to ourselves on a daily basis. We think no person would ever want to be my friend if I talk to them in that manner. Why in my own life and talents equally? I try to be the most encouraging person to my friends, to my family, and to my team, to tell them you have talents. I see your talents working in this way, yet I don't do that. That's just, it's crazy. It's ludicrous. So our self-talk sucks, and we have to change that, but that's a daily chore. We have, because the clock resets, our mind will default to bad. We have to push it, the setting, over to the positive and live that way.
Well said, Marcus.
Well, and how does one do that throughout? Let's take your typical, your WordPress solopreneur, so to speak, your guy that's working at home making sites for people or fixing sites or what have you. How do you arm yourself when you're the army of one? How do you because self-talk is pretty much all you have, right? What's the best way to kind of approach your day when certain situations arrive? When you're the one-man band, you've got to go do your own sales calls. You got to deal with rejection. You got to deal with clerical stuff. Then you got to deal with all the technical aspects of it. And so amongst those, there are 50 ways to get disappointed throughout the day or get hard on yourself of what your abilities or your natural abilities may be. What's that trigger for you? How do you know, okay, this is a situation that I need to back off from? What's your trigger for that?
I would say you're not alone, even as a solopreneur. My and maybe not everyone has this, but first partner, no matter what the size of my business is my spouse / significant other. Now, I'm married to an amazing woman named Lindsay. She is my number one partner. I would venture to say most people, maybe I don't know the stats, have a significant other in their life, or maybe have, or parent or whatever, that is their supporting cast. No matter if you're a solopreneur or someone that runs a 500-person business, supporting cast that we need in our lives. And I think it first and foremost starts with your spouse / significant other. That's your first partner in life. Person in my life. I'm so blessed and thankful that I met her. That she supports me and loves me the way I need to be loved. Of 5 love languages, you can take a free assessment online. There's not a week that go by that we don't talk about our love languages. I'm words of affirmation. Last year, she gave me 52 cards written with things she loves about me. Now, I'll tell you what, when I get dinner dumps, I keep in my backpack that goes with me everywhere I go. So the supporting cast is so key. I wanted to mention from my experience what's been from having a counselor, having a spouse, that a significant other that loves, supports, and cares and appreciates you. Friends that were negative Nellies or weren't good for my life, they were poison. I've had to say, you're not really a friend. I'm going to discontinue this relationship. Cast is absolutely key. But then, Marcus, directly to your question would be that when these negative, it's just self-awareness to know that these counteract them with either boldness, if it's fear, if it's negativity with positivity. To appreciate, one of the greatest treasures I think I've learned about increasing my own happiness and positivity, by the way, is to be thankful and grateful for the time, talent, treasure, people, relationships. So what I would try to wire my brain is to say, negative thing enters my thing, I'm not good enough for this client. Now my counteract would say, okay, what am I really good at that other people, that stands out? I am an authentic relationship person. I hone my skills every single day of my life. I would start to self-talk those things. Counteract through self-awareness to know you're getting negative thoughts, and then counteract them with the opposite. I'm not good enough. You know what? My wife adores me. This client loves me. Can't wait to pay me more money. You know, I would just start to thought in that self-talk, and I think it just comes from self-awareness, and it's a habit, right, that we have to teach ourselves. That I'm saying I have to teach myself, because I'll get in this deep cloud and realize maybe it's been a couple of days, and I'm like, I'm in this funk. I got to get out of it somehow. And to do that, does that mean scheduling a call with my counselor? Does that mean calling a friend of mine, getting some encouragement? I wanted to share one other thing, Marcus and Jeff, beneficial for my life in the last 4 years, is that I have a peer group.
Hold on 1 second.
7 guys.
Before you talk about your peer group, I want you to do me a big favor and rejoin the Google Hangout video, because the slow motion in your voice, it's like lag, and we hear some skipping, so it's okay. This is live. I'll edit it out, so I'm going to give you the opportunity to reconnect, and then we'll talk about your peer group.
Okay.
If it fixes it.
Okay.
That's that slow motion, man. It was making me laugh, but
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was just me.
maybe it's
okay.
just the Hangout. I don't know. Hope so. Hey, we got 2 viewers. Hello out there. This is what happens when you record a show live. We're rocking and rolling here, man. Cory's letting it all out. I'm just letting him talk.
Yep.
Let's play some Hole music. Let's get out the sound effects.
Hole. Courtney Love Hole?
No, hold music.
Let's play some Hole music. What?
Yeah. Oh, boy. Hey-o.
They had one good song, produced by Billy Corgan.
What's that other band? Butthole Surfers? Wasn't that a
That's
band?
80s. That's 80s.
Oh, 80s. Okay.
I'm here.
Yay.
Hello. All right, so let's pretend let's start over where you say I want to share one other thing I've learned in my 4 years of life. So go ahead and start over from that point. Ready? Go.
So one of the things I've learned years is the value of a peer group, a group of people with the same values and willing to trust and pour into each other's lives. So 4 years ago, 5 years ago, actually in 2010, I qualified for a group called Entrepreneurship Organization, Entrepreneurs Organization. I joined the local chapter in Oklahoma, and I was placed in a group. They call them forums, but we meet in person. So I was placed in a forum group with 7 other guys. They just happened to be men. And for the last 4 years, I've met with that group once a month for 3 hours, every single month for 4 years. The month after I got married, I joined that group, and so I've had 2 babies, my business success, and all that increased happiness. In a big part because I have a group of like-minded, value-centered people that trust each other and want to share experiences that will huge part. Now, how that expresses itself for a solopreneur or someone else would be to find a group of people, maybe 4 people, are on the same journey, not competitive journey with you, but a same journey, and meet regularly. They've been called accountability group. Find a group of people that you can pour your life into, that will pour their life into you, that are about your success and happiness. And that group has been so impactful for me because they get it. They understand what it's like to be an entrepreneur and a father. 7 of the 8 group, and it's been remarkable. One of the presentations I did was about, we were getting ready to have Callaway, and I said, what's it like to be a successful entrepreneur, driven, ambitious entrepreneur, and be a parent, be a father? And it was amazing, the kind of experiences I got from that I gleaned, that I put into action in my own life, and has been.
Oh man, what? He must have some of that oaky internet down there.
Yeah, it's okay.
Might have to go get some internets from California. Eh?
Plug in.
I'm sorry, guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah. You're still a little muddly.
That's that oaky internet speed.
Nah, he's in New Mexico.
Oh, New Mexico. He's probably out in that cabin out on a bluff somewhere. That's why.
Actually helps if you'd like, but that'll take about 5 minutes. But
no, go ahead. Continue where you're going.
Just having a peer group of people that with the same values on the same journey, I think is absolutely life impacting and helpful. I wish more people had access to groups like that. I want that for my COO, Matt Dinner. I want that for my wife. I want that for my friends. Just having people on the same journey of life together.
You talk about counselors and peer groups and finding people that are on the same journey. I just wanted to share that I don't see a counselor per se, but I do this thing every Friday night, Google Hangout called WP After Hours. So it's a little get-together we have. A lot of us in the WordPress community are working from home. Maybe we don't go out on a Friday night, so we just sit back, have a couple brewskis on our computer chair, get up on a Google Hangout where we can have up to 10 people, and we just talk about the struggles we've endured during the week. We sort of air it out on each other, and it's worked out to be a pretty good support group where we just have a good time. And I look forward to Fridays now. I look forward to being on there with a couple of great people, airing out my grievances, and everybody just sort of helping each other. Everybody's giving each other words of encouragement, and it just goes to show that you don't have to go see a counselor, you don't have to pay someone, but maybe just, like Cory said, just find that group or create the group yourself and maintain it. And there's plenty of people out there that are going through the same things you are. I mean, Cory, as you said, you don't have to do this alone. And because you did it alone. You were, you had that 6 months, 7, 8 months worth of misery, and nobody should go through that.
I think that's awesome example of how to do that, because if that's impactful for your life, and you guys are you're the judge, I'm not, but if that's helping impact your life and unearth some of the things that are hurting, and to be able to get past some of the obstacles, I just think we need, and it's better done with, life is better done, by the way, with people who love and support and care about you. I think that's an excellent example.
Awesome. So before we wrap this up here, Marcus, any last questions dealing with mental illness or mental health for Cory?
Well, one other thing that I got out of the presentation, and even what some of Cory has mentioned here in the show, is that you've got to get those negative influences out of your life. And it's not just a matter of dismissing it, it's a matter of kind of forgiving what happened, even if they burned you, because, man, that resentment will kill you. It will burn through your brain to where you can't do anything as far as work or productivity or personal life or anything as long as you hold on to that resentment. So I think that's a key portion in that sending people away. You also have to kind of forgive them for a sense of your own freedom. And that's something that I got kind of subliminally, Cory, out of your talk, but I can sense that that's your feeling as well.
Absolutely. And that being able to forgive and move on doesn't mean you necessarily keep those people in your life, but forgiveness is a blessing just to be able of health, I think. People commented on the post I did when I basically said publicly in writing that I had been divorced. And people said, I bet that feels good. And I wanted to say, no, I dealt with that in the past. I didn't do that for therapeutic value. My divorce, I've been through all that. Not that the scars may not be there or whatever, but I've dealt with that pain and moved on. I'm only sharing the story. Helps people come out from the shadows and seek help, however that is, to deal with the hurt, the bitterness, whatever it is. And I'm so glad you mentioned the word forgiveness, because to hold on to that would be poison in my life. My kids, my team, my wife, my customers would all feel that poison if I held on to those things. But I'll give the caveat. It does not mean those people remain in your life. You can forgive someone and still not have them in their life. There are people that have done things in the past that I will not have them around, the people that I love most in this world. Anyway, that's an excellent point, Mark. It's very, very well said, too.
Thanks.
Well, I just, again, Cory, I want to thank you very much for coming on the show. Sort of a change of pace for us, where we're not really talking about products or themes and stuff like that, but talking about some of the things that are actually impacting me, impacting you, impacting a lot of us in the WordPress community, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, agencies, distributed workers, all over the place. I mean, people, if anyone out there thinks you're alone or you're the only one dealing with whatever it is you're dealing with, you're not. You're definitely not doing it alone. And Cory, again, I wanted to say in person, thank you very much for being brave enough, I guess I should say, to come out there and be so open and share some of these really difficult times of your life, but more importantly, how you ended up on the other side, and then using your skills and talents and going across the country at various WordCamps and helping and telling others and encouraging others that, there are these times in your life that you will be on your knees, but there are ways to get back on your feet. And I think you're doing a huge, generous, positive thing and service, and I hope you continue to spread the word at various WordCamps, because I think the issue of mental health in general has to be talked about more at a lot of these WordCamps. And, the code and contributions and WordPress, all of that's important, but I wouldn't mind seeing some more time, dedication, and speakers devoted to mental health, physical health, and things of that nature that are sort of ancillary to being productive and getting things done. So thanks for everything you've done, man. Not that you're going anywhere. I just want to say thanks.
I appreciate you guys allowing me and also being part of the sharing of the message. It's not about me. It's about the message to help hurting people. And man, if we affect one person's life tonight to this, so worth it. So I appreciate you guys. You're awesome people, and I'm been glad to be able to shake your hands and have a drink or two with you guys at some point. So
Thanks.
I gotta tell you, I'm looking forward to it, and based on the Wi-Fi connection you have and the way it makes your voice slow-mo, some of the people out there may think you've had a couple drinks. That's
I hope it came. I hope the message came across though.
no, but it's cool. I'm looking forward to seeing you at the next work camp, which I have no idea when that will be. Either Columbus, Ohio, maybe Prestige, or Work Camp Hampton Roads. I don't know. Definitely not Work Camp US. I think that'll happen next year. We'll have to definitely see each other then. But we're gonna have to have you on before the end of the year because I want to talk about what's going on at iThemes, your company and your business relationship with CrowdFavor, and I want to get to know some of the products and things you're doing, and we got to talk about this stuff. So I hope you're up for doing that later on this year.
Would love that. And we'll get a better internet connection for you guys. So we'd love that.
Good.
Anytime you guys.
Well, Cory, it's a pleasure talking. Enjoy New Mexico. I hear it's beautiful this time of year.
It is.
All right, so Marcus, that's it. I mean, that's. I wish we had a little bit better internet connection there, but I think overall people will stick around to hear his message, and overall it wasn't too bad. But it definitely we covered a lot of ground here, and I think we did the most important thing, and that was spread his message, and hopefully the people out there listening take a lot away from the things that were discussed on the show. And by all means, those of you listening to the show, listeners, if you have any feedback on this show, or maybe you would like us to talk about this topic some more, or maybe talk about other mental health or issues dealing with WordPress development or solopreneurs, send me an email, jeffc@wptavern.com. Let us know. Also, feel free to share your stories or what you've done to try and be more positive instead of negative. We would love to hear your feedback, and we have a free show next week, so we'll be able to get into most of your feedback if you give it to us.
That's right. And for me, it hits home for me because I'm going through some stuff right now, and that's one of the reasons why I had this guest in particular scheduled today. And also, I want to remind people that in our show notes, I'm going to put links to the slide deck that Cory used for his presentation, in addition to the direct link on WordPress.tv that has his presentation from WordCamp Denver, where he talks about a lot of this stuff. So make sure that you go to the show notes, and the links will all be there.
Excellent. So there's some things to talk about today. I mean, I just want to quickly let you know that WordPress 4.3 Beta 2 has been released. So if you're in the mood to test the newest version of WordPress, try it out. We'll go in depth on what to expect in WordPress 4.3 on next Wednesday when we have more time. Also, there is a Andrew Middleton posted on the WordPress.org blog and gave an update on WordCamps. We're about halfway through the year. I just wanted to throw a couple of these stats out there because I think they're unbelievable. But so far in 2015, there's been 39 WordCamps with events organized in 17 different countries and 5 continents. There's been more than 14,000 people who have registered for WordCamp tickets so far this year. And let's see. WordPress.tv has published 537 videos so far in 2015 from WordCamps around the world. So I mean, it's just rocking and rolling over there with the whole WordCamp and community thing. But the one piece of news that a lot of people are interested in is that there is an update to the situation with WordCamp US. Currently, it's in the pre-planning stages. They're still deciding on a host city, and in fact, Marcus, one of the 6 cities that it will be held in is Chattanooga, Tennessee, Chicago, Illinois, Detroit, Michigan, Orlando, Florida, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, or Phoenix, Arizona. There is no Las Vegas.
I know.
But
I at least hope this. If it's one of those cities like Chicago or Detroit or Philadelphia, there's no way it can be this year because you can't do this in October, November,
That's right.
December. You're going to freeze to death. Okay, so it's got to be, if it's going to be one of those Midwest cities, then you need to make it spring or something like that where it's nice.
It does mention that it looks like WordCamp US might be held in 2016, but if you ask everybody, the general consensus is there's no way it can happen in 2015. So it'll probably be in 2016. It'll give them a lot more time to organize WordCamp US. It'll probably turn out to be a much better event instead of rushing it. And I actually voted for Chicago out of all those choices because I want to go back and eat that deep dish pizza. I miss Chicago. I love Chicago. That was a great city.
Yeah, I'm from there, so obviously good things come from there. But that would be great. I'd love to see some of my old pals going back there. But I vote for Phoenix. That's my vote. I voted in the poll.
Oh hell, you could drive to Phoenix.
That's right. Or quick flight.
Though Phoenix isn't too bad, in the winter months here. So, I mean, that might work out. But I'd still if I can't go to Chicago, then I wouldn't mind going to Philadelphia for some cheesesteaks, sometime during the summer. Definitely not anywhere near the winter.
You know that you can get deep dish pizza and cheesesteaks in Phoenix, right? Or anywhere else of these others.
Yeah, but I mean, come on.
Okay. I don't choose it based on that.
I know.
Or else I never would have went to San Francisco.
I know. So I actually created a poll on WPTavern.com where I let people vote for their cities that they wanted it to be in, and guess what? Phoenix was in the lead. Or Phoenix is in the lead with 347 votes, with Philadelphia in second place at 320. So there you go. I mean, just from the people poll, Phoenix looks to be the choice.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
What's next is our plug-in picks of the week. And in fact, after you get done with your three, I actually have a plug-in pick this week. How about that?
Okay. Well, let's see what you got. Let's put the cards on the table. First one out of the gate, called Save and Import Image from URL. Now, when you go into the Media Center, you can import from a URL. But what it does is it doesn't download it from the URL. It doesn't put it in your Media Center. It makes it so that you're just externally referencing an image. Well, this plugin actually will download the image and create it locally so that you have a copy on your side, not just hot linking out to some other picture. And then you can, after it's uploaded, you can change the media attributes like the caption, the title, the alt tags, all that kind of stuff. And then just with one click, just like everything else, insert it right into your blog post. So it's called Save and Import Image from URL.
That's a nice feature. I sometimes wonder why that's even allowed, why WordPress functions the way it does by hot linking images with the URL. I mean, that shouldn't be the way it works. It should be you put a URL in there for an image, WordPress downloads it and then automatically puts it into the media library, so it's a local version of the image you're using. You're not hot linking. And this is what this plugin does, right?
Yes. Your wish is my command. There you go.
It should be a core feature.
It should. You're absolutely right. Next one is called Meerkat. Jeff, are you a Meerkatter?
No, I am not. Nope.
Okay. Well, Meerkat is one of the hot new things besides Periscope that's all about live video. So if you happen to be a Meerkatter and make your own Meerkasts, I think they're called, you can embed your Meerkat stream with this plugin so that your followers, friends, fans, all that can watch your stream right on your site. And the embedded player shows if you're having a live stream, it will show your live stream. But if you're not live, it shows your next upcoming stream, which is a timer. It basically says the next stream will occur in 16 hours, 58 minutes, and 22 seconds with a countdown. Now, if you have no upcoming streams, it displays the stats from your last stream. And if you haven't streamed at all yet, it just shows your profile. So the embedded player is done with a shortcode, and you can toggle participation, load the player muted or audio going, and all kinds of cool things like predefined cover images and even the shape of your player as far as the sizing goes. So if you're into Meerkat, this is a plugin for you. It's called Meerkat. And finally, this came about from a client need. It is called Simple Job Board. It's a real lightweight plugin that adds custom post types for different job boards. You can add multiple job listings and show them on any page just by inserting a short code. And for every single job listing, you can add multiple job features such as requirements, prerequisites that you need, all the neat stuff that you see on all the other job boards. And then you can add notes to the applications that you receive right from the dashboard. So that's called Simple Job Board. And those are my plugin picks of the week.
All right, so you have to ask me what my plugin pick is.
Well, I'm looking at it in the show notes, but what is it, Jeff?
So this is really cool. It's actually Lasso by our friend Nick Haskins, who has been on the show before. And Lasso is a front-end editor, but he's added a feature to it where you can select revisions in real time. So on the front,
a little timeline.
Yeah, like a front-end editor, you click a button, and this timeline pops up, and as you're switching through the timeline, you can see the content change in front of you to reflect what it looked like during that time span. And if you find something you like, you just select it, click select, save the post, and boom, it's done. And I'm very impressed with this because, for one, I don't like the core interface for switching and comparing revisions. It has it's like a diff compare. So it's like the idea is taken from when you're writing code, and you can see differences in the code. I just sort of find that interface clunky and confusing. This one by Nick Haskins and Lasso, it's refreshing. I don't have to load any admin pages. I don't have to do anything. I could just do it right then and there through my thought process, make a couple clicks, and it's done. And what I'm hoping for is that somewhere down the line, WordPress itself can sort of merge a lot of the back-end stuff into the front end so that I could just do it on a whim instead of having to go through these pages and menus and links and all that other stuff. Just be able to quickly change something or do something without the back end getting in my way. And I just thought that this revisions interface was a very refreshing way to get something done without having to go through and browse the back end of WordPress. So congrats, Nick. And for anyone interested, you can actually download and test Lasso for free. It's about $120, $129, the commercial version. But if you want to check it out, maybe do a preview of it or see if you like it, it is available for free on GitHub. And I'll have a link to that in the show notes. But I'm very impressed with this interface and would like to see WordPress kind of go this direction where everything is quick and I'm not having to load all these darn pages anymore.
I agree, and I wonder if we may one day see a slider that can show the revisions of Nick Haskins' beard.
That is quite possible. It's probably a plugin for that or something. So great job there. Let's see. Okay, so that's going to do it for this week's episode of WordPress Weekly. Next Wednesday is a free episode, so me and Marcus will get you all caught up on the news, and there's a lot to catch you up on, so we'll have a lot to talk about. And then the week after that will be the Big 200, and I'm going to have a couple people on to celebrate with. Definitely looking forward to that show. And then the week after that, we're going to have Paul Gibbs and John James Jacoby on to talk some BB Press, Buddy Camp, and who knows what, maybe some crowdfunding. I don't know.
And Triple J's bank account. Let's see how he's doing.
Yeah, let's see how he's doing. So, man, we're booked for the next month or so, and I'm excited to do every show. So you can find show notes for this episode and every other episode on WPTavern.com, and you can follow me on Twitter at Jeffro, JEFFR0, and Marcus.
You can find me at my website, marcuscouch.com, and I'm including all the podcasts that I do, not just this one. So look for that, and find me on Twitter at marcuscouch.
Excellente. So until next week, everybody have a safe, enjoyable rest of the week. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk to you again next Wednesday evening. Until then, take care.